Okay, Greg, let's still move on to Chicago here. Let's talk first about the trade that already happened. So Brett Connolly goes to Chicago among some other pieces. Can you give me your first thoughts on that trade and what you saw from yesterday?
Well, first of all, it's weird that the Blackhawks are taking on salary. We're so used to them being on the other side, having to get rid of prospects in order to get rid of bad contracts. But now the shoe's kind of on the other foot. Brent Conley isn't the piece that you were concerned about. I mean, that's just taking out a contract. Obviously, Florida, we'll probably talk about them in a minute. They've got some bigger plans here. They're clearing up space. Getting Stillman and Borgstrom are those are the pieces there. Stan Bowman loves his reclamation projects. He loves getting guys that need a quote unquote change of scenery. Sometimes they've worked out. It worked out pretty well for Dylan Strome. So Conley's fits the mold of the type of veteran contract you have to expose for the expansion draft. So I think that's his role there. And if not, you get a veteran guy here that might help with some young players. So, I don't think it's a huge move by any means, but it definitely could help you with two possible future pieces in Stillman and Borgstrom.
Well, the whole taking on salaries question was what I was going to ask you next. How much do you think that's going to play a continued factor here before the deadline? Is it overstated how much people are talking about Chicago being willing to take on this money, or is this it? Like, are there going to be a couple more deals in this kind of area or vein, or do we think this is probably the deal they're doing?
There definitely could be another one or two of these. They have, heading in before this deal, they had over $20 million in cap space because of all the players they have on long-term IR. So there's definitely a chance to pick up stuff as long as it's not, that the Conley thing is a little unsettling because there's 2 years left of that deal. But it expires before you really have to start worrying about signing some of these young guys. But if there's a bad contract that say expires at the end of this year, and you can get a top, a higher draft pick or good prospect, then I could see that happening for sure.
So I've seen and read Stan Bowman say that they're not adding. There's no reason to do that. They're going to stick with their young prospects and play those guys. Is that the right take for you, considering where Chicago's at in the standings? They played better than most people thought they were going to play this season. What's your take on their approach to the rest of these last 4 or 5 days?
That is absolutely 100% the correct way to do it. Now, granted, I always take what a general manager says with a grain of salt, especially this time of year, but that's the way to do it. You don't say rebuild before the season starts and then say, oh, well, we got a chance to maybe, get swept out of the first round by Tampa Bay. So let's trade all of our prospects. It's the right way to do it. Yes, their record is a lot better than we expected, but the last month of the season, they've regressed to the team that I think we're going to see from the get-go. There was a little bit of smoke and mirrors there. The first 2 months, they had an unbelievable power play. The goaltending was out of this world. And when they were losing past regulation, still getting points. Since March 1st has come around, the power play has gone silent. The goaltending's come back down to earth, and they've been losing in regulation. So this is more the team that probably should have started the year. So holding on to your assets, flipping a couple veterans to get more assets, that is the right thing to do for sure.
Awesome.